Welcome back. You're watching the Daily Report right here on TV 47, Matters State of the Nation. And to just reintroduce my guests tonight, before you go back to them, earlier on we were talking about the issues that continue to affect the country. Reverend Canon Evans Omolo, Provost, All Saints Cathedral, as well as Al-Hajj Hassan Olenado, National Chairman, Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims, SUPKEM, and last but not least, Reverend Dr. Alphonse Kanga, Chair, National Council of Churches of Kenya, NCCK. Before we took the break, you wanted to say something.
Yes, I was saying that the fact that we are saying the church, it does not mean that individual Christians should not support the people they like.
Of course.
Individual people in our congregation, they support the people they like. Even me as an independent person, there is somebody I supported. But as an organization, it is wrong to say the church did, But I have a right to pray and support the people I like as a person. And that's why the church is calling for now, please, Christians and Kenyans, arise and shape your own destiny. By doing what? By rejecting and shaming the corrupt people in the community. That's why we are saying the issue of the money. The money that came in, we are saying, if your salary is 700,000 a month, and then the first week you give out 5 million, the other week you give out 2 million, the other week you give out 4 million. I'm left wondering now, if you took that money and build roads or build some washrooms for people in the Kibera, what will happen? All of us will benefit. And then we are wondering, might that be our money from taxes? So because of that confusion, we are saying, please, let's be accountable. Let's come to an idea of, as we celebrate Kenya at 61, even the church is saying, let's be accountable. Let's call upon people to be accountable. So that when they bring money, they just put in the offer tray like any other tithe and offering. You don't announce, but you don't use it for your own political gain.
Al-Hajj, I've seen you reacting to that. Why is it that is it so different for the other groups, if you could call it? You've asked us to draw a distinction to quote-unquote copy what the Islamic community does in terms of offering and money. We don't see that in your line, do we?
Yeah, we have a structured way based on the teachings of the Quran and the traditions of the Prophet, the Sunnah, that we have the two key components in giving. We have the zakah, which is actually compulsory, and then we have sadaqah, which can be given any other given time. But zakah is actually specific, and the specific time that you're supposed to give. So because of those restrictions, Muslims knows when to give zakah and when they give sadaqah. And the best sadaqah, according to the teachings of Islam, is the sadaqah that is not announced, or sadaqah that is actually not known. We say the left hand should not know what the right hand has given when you are giving out sadaqah. So that one has somehow shielded political class within the Muslim community because of the restrictions within the Islamic setup.
Okay. Canon, the fact that there has been a tradition of giving, and now the church are perhaps, or leaders are coming out and saying, we will not either follow this, we would like not to have some announcements, we'll reject. We've seen what the NCCK has spoken about, we've seen what has been spoken, reactions from various groups. Do you think it's very difficult to be able to shake off the tag for groups and individuals, or churches, if you could call it, that went ahead to receive them in the first place initially in the yesteryears?
Judge, there comes a time when we evaluate and realize that we must employ a different strategy. So the fact that previously that seemed to have been the trend and a fairly acceptable practice does not validate it to be correct today. And therefore, the religious groups, and in this case the church, has evaluated itself and realized that we need to change tact. Because, as my colleagues have said, actually these fundraising and Harambee monies and donations is a huge conduit for corruption. You always ask, why don't they do bank transfers? Why carry 5 million shillings in cash? Or the other time we saw Honorable Sudi carrying 20 million shillings in cash. Why not do an RTGS or an EFT, and that money lands from my account to your account, and we end it there? It's because these are monies largely from corruption. These are proceeds from corruption, and they don't want trails. When investigations would happen, they would be caught. You heard the other day the cabinet secretary responsible for treasury admitting in front of cameras that the country loses 2 billion shillings every day, not every month, not every week, but every day to corruption.
Yeah.
That translates to nearly 700 billion shillings every year. That alone is enough to drive Ministry of Education, and you have excess. When that amount of money is being lost, that is the money that comes back to the religious groupings in form of donations. We are saying, as my colleague Dr. Kanga said earlier, if you take 20 million shillings and put it into a project, into a hospital, it will push you somewhere, because 100 million is enough to build you a good hospital somewhere in Marsabit, a level 3 hospital, fully functioning. Why are we not able to say that? That's why today as church we're saying, no, if you want to give the normal way, quietly like everyone else, and then you go.
We have a caller, John, called from Nairobi. Good evening, John. Thank you for watching. What's your question to our guests tonight, or comment regarding the program tonight? John, can you hear me? Do we still have John on the line? We seem to have lost John, but of course the line is open. You can call in and of course be able to chime in. Daktari, this issue of giving has been there for a while. We did see the president saying he will continue giving. He is actually a product of giving. He's done it for several decades now. I mean, what's the balance?
We also did not say that to stop giving.
Okay.
What we are saying, please give, but as per within the procedure. And the procedure is simple. Give tithe and offering as it is instructed by the scripture. When you give with this hand, let this other hand know. Don't give for you to gain something out of it. Don't give for you to gain favor out of it. Actually, we are all products of giving. We are products of unlimited favor. And unlimited favor comes through the hearts of people, what they have decided. And when they are giving, you never know that they are giving. All of us, we are product of missionaries. For sure, missionaries came and built churches and constructed hospitals where we are and took us to school. That's why we are what we are. But they did not come so that in their homeland, they'll be elected as MCAs. They'll be elected as, and that's why we are saying we have no problem with giving at all. The only thing we are saying, let's be structured within our giving. But also, don't bring money out of corruption. And that's why we are asking Kenyans, arise and shape our destiny. Arise and say no. Arise and say no to oppressive laws. For example, why do you want to inject animals at this time? Who is behind injecting animals at this time? Can we use, is that a priority for now? Can we use that money for something better? Or somebody has just come and you want us to inject animals? Have we finished other projects? Why don't we take care of the education system, as my colleague says here? I don't know, how old is your child?
I don't have any yet.
Oh, you don't have it?
Coming.
Now, I wanted to know how old your child is, because if your child is in school, Prof, how old?
8 years old.
8 years old. Yes, let's go with the Prof. Now, Provost, if your child is 8 years old, he goes to CBC, isn't it? When he goes and cut cartons and bring those cartons at home, who normally prepares those cartons to take them back to school?
It's myself or my wife.
Yes. So when he goes to school, they say the child is above average. So who has been marked? Is it you or the child? Then from there, the question is, that child with that above average, are you sure if that child joins the other community in the international standards, UK and Canada, will he be above average with cutting of cartons, which I did for her or him? Let's think together. Let's arise and find out what's the best way to go around this. Do you know where grade 9 is going after this? We don't know. But we are saying all is well. Please, Kenya, don't say all is well. This problem is not for the president. They are our problem. Let's sit and shape our destiny together.
Yeah, maybe just on this issue of giving, I think I look at it from a different angle. There is a traditional way where religious sector has been doing that without noise. We have not had these noises before. And still the people are giving whatever they are giving to the places that they give. The spirit of Harambee in this country has done quite well in terms of addressing many challenges Kenyans have been facing. We have been able to sort out our small issues in the village level, building our small institutions and many things that the spirit of Harambee has done for us. What we are seeing at the moment, currently, is what I describe it as a mass corruption. Mass corruption because this particular leader wants to show that he's actually giving this particular institution this large amount of money. So wherever who associate himself or herself to that particular institution feel they have been appreciated, something has come from this particular politician. And this politician also wants to be associated with their faith. That is the reason why they choose these particular institutions to go and give. And they don't go to places that there are no cameras and many other things. Why could somebody just go to a village in Marsabit, for example, and donate there without cameras and do some good things there, or in a village in Loitokitok or any other place? It is because basically they don't want that. What they are trying to do, there are two things they are trying to confuse the Congress. One, he wants to be seen as a religious person. He wants to identify himself with a congregation that is part and parcel of that congregation. Number two, he also wants to be seen in that congregation as the helper, someone who has come in to support, to help this congregation. So what that happens, it actually end up now confusing the electorate, that we have a very religious person, but in the real sense, this particular person is hiding many other skeletons behind the giving. That's the biggest worry that Kenyans have.
Provost, what do you make of this whole issue of giving? Was it important to even return that money in the first place? We did see the reactions that came, and there's been confirmation that we've had from those leaders saying the money has actually not yet come back. What is this push and pull of this?
No. Those are just political gimmicks and power games that are being played.
Side shows.
And side shows to distract people. You heard Lusaka the other day say, oh, now usirudishe, na ukirudisha, unirudishi. I mean, George, we are in a very sad state as a country that those who are given responsibility to lead are misusing their positions of power through corrupt resources and using that corrupt money to buy the people, to impair their judgment. As Sheikh Olenado says, you know, when you rise as the most powerful person, the helper who gets me out of my desperate situation, it then means that my sense of judgment is already compromised and I'm not able to assess or evaluate you objectively. If we go to the ballot, I'll vote because you gave me money, because you brought unga here, not because you'll fix the roads, not because you'll represent me in parliament and demand for last mile to come to my village so that I get electricity. No, but I got my unga for today. So it's a power imbalance, and it's a power game that we should never want to accept. I want to really appreciate the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops for their boldness, rising up to trailblaze in terms of saying, no, pesa ya corruption, hiyo tutachukua. And if the religious leaders would come together in that manner, the politicians will have no one to corrupt or to buy. Because if we don't, then, you know, these guys are politicians, and their strategy is to divide. Their strategy is to get a soft belly. And so there are many of our communities, among the Muslim community, among the Christian community, the Hindu community, where people really need resources. So when they see that these fairly endowed ones are rejecting, they look for another place which is very desperate. Wakiona tu milioni moja tu, wachana na 5, milioni moja tu, ni kama Yesu mwenyewe ama Muhammad mwenyewe amekuja kuwasaidia. And therefore, they will run quickly and take. So they will want to use that to win political favors, to win votes and all that. We must rise up and say we shouldn't allow our conscience to be bought, but we must assess every political leader based on what they're able to do and based on their track record, what we've seen them do before. We want to ask all the religious groups, please reject corruption money that is being channeled to you, and ask that those resources be deployed to improve your communities and living standards.
Dr. Looking at all these imbalances that we are seeing in this country, how the state of the nation is, whereas we've seen the revocation of the PPPs like Adani and all, do you think we are headed in the right direction? And a question to the three of you, where are we heading as a country?
First of all, as we celebrate 61 years, Kenya had 61 years, there is something we can celebrate, that we are better than many African countries because we have freedom of speech. Despite that it's being interfered with, that's why we are calling upon Kenya to arise and determine our destiny, so that we don't go back again where people will be abducted because they are said. We stick there and we don't allow this to happen. We don't allow any abduction in the country. And if somebody is abducted, somebody must produce. If somebody is moved from Kenya, the issue that's going on in Uganda of that politician where they say he was abducted here, surely that kind of thing, we need to arise as Kenyan and say no to abduction, no to chief. What's happening with the chief? Are we better off? No, we are not better off, because as priests in the parishes, we are burying people every day because of the confusion that is there because of Shah. And that's why we as NSK, we are saying, please pause, go back to NHIF, and then let's organize, and then let's move together with the nation. Let's not go ahead and say all is well, and tomorrow we are burying people. All is well. When is all going to be well? It's going to be well when you move together. If you want to move faster, move alone. But if you want to move together and move with everybody, you'll move slow but sure. So where are we heading to? We need to arise. We are heading somewhere, because Kenyans, arise and speak it out, arise and ask what you want. We have Constitution 2010. Not only that, where are we heading to? We are heading to an area where we are going to demand Chapter 6 of the Constitution. Something must happen. Before you to become a leader, we check Chapter 6. We don't manipulate one another. We are saying of IEBC. Do we have IEBC or we don't have IEBC? There is IEBC that gave us the deputy president recently. That IEBC, that IEBC that was there, we should go to it and ask the judicial people, how did you allow IEBC to give us a deputy president when other things should not be going on? So, judiciary, wake up. As somebody said today, one of the politicians says today, please, if there is what we call agreeing on those courts, on those court issues that are there about the IEBC, we should agree as yesterday and then move on. But where are we heading to? We are heading where Kenyans are going to say it is our country. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Sheikh, as you compound with your closing remarks.
From where Dr. Reverend Kanga just stopped is that, yes, we are not doing well as a country. But my feeling is that we have an opportunity of actually moving forward in a manner that will be helpful to the Kenyan people. The most important thing for the leadership is to listen. And that is the first step. If they listen to the voices of Kenyans and respond respectively and give us the alternative on terms of the voices that are being raised, and then that is what Kenyans want to see. Because when, for example, you just started by mentioning Adani and some other interesting things there behind. When Kenyans spoke and made a lot of noise about Adani, it was removed. Same way with the bill, with the financial bill. What brought the GNC movement sometimes back was also put aside. But what again I insist, the leadership is a shared kind of responsibility, because every Kenyan is a leader on his own right. In the different levels that we are leading. And when leaders speak, it is good that we speak with one another with the aim of looking for a solution. When we raise concerns about things that are not working with the state should actually, the leadership, the country's leadership should be able to respond on what is it that we are seeing. And let there be a collaboration on how so that we can actually have an opportunity of engaging. Because when you see the religious leaders going to the media you'd actually need to understand that there were no any other spaces that they can actually express themselves. Because the most important thing, in our religion, for example, in Islam, we are told to counsel leadership in private. That's what Islam says. That if there are issues that the leader, you are seeing that the leader is not doing well, you are supposed to counsel the leader in private. Now the challenge that is now emerging is that privacy. Where is that space located at? Where you can now be able to say, I want to counsel my leader in this space. The space is not there. So the only space that is now available is the public space, where people will be able to ventilate the feelings of the people they represent. Because when the religious leaders speak, they speak on the people they represent, the pains that we come through. We do fundraisings every day to support children who are out of school, to support the sick, to support people who are traveling, and unfortunately they could not reach their destinations because the fare that they have could not take them to where they are going. We fundraise to get money for even people to sleep, because some of them can actually come to Nairobi stranded. So what do you do as a mosque or a religious institution? You quickly do a quick fundraising and support the brother or a sister who has come to you. These things can be avoided by having a proper consultations from time to time, so that at least the leadership can feel, can share, can learn from how Kenyans are feeling out there.
Provost, to get the last word.
Yeah, I still feel that where we are as a country, majority of those people that we have elected in political leadership, for example, are largely people who are in that space to serve their own interests. And I've discovered a term called commercialization of politics, so that politics is an enterprise. How can I raise so much resources, then tag along a very powerful figure that could enable me be elected? Then once I'm elected, my role then in that office, whether it's member of parliament, whether it's governor, whether it's a senator, is to amass so much that I can through corruption, such that I will then be able to survive and stay, to survive and continue going on, even if I'm not re-elected. So, George, that for me is the greatest worry, that we end up not electing people who deserve to be elected, but people who are buying their way through to leadership. That means what we end up with are likes of what you see in the August House, who are not able to rationally engage over issues from an independent perspective. Remember, Parliament's role is to keep the executive in check. But when you have a situation where Parliament, obviously this is a voice that has been raised, is an extension of the executive. They cannot question, they cannot hold accountable. It means then the interest of members of Parliament is how close you can be to the president, so that you can get contracts, you can get goodies, you can access this, or you can be corrupt and you're not investigated or being arrested. That for me is the greatest worry in terms of the quality of leadership that we get. And Matiang'i told us before President Uhuru retired that more than half of the leaders you're going to elect this time around is a bunch of wash, consequences of corruption. And today we are seeing them. They're the ones working with 20 million shillings in sacks. As Dr. Kanga did mention, we know that you earn 1 million shillings in excess, up to thereabouts. Where do you get all this money? So we must rise up and question. And I want to ask my fellow Kenyans, my fellow patriotic Kenyans, and I want to ask the young people of this country, please, if we keep quiet, if we stop, then this country will go down to the dogs. We can deliver what Sri Lanka delivered. We can deliver what Ghana delivered. We can deliver what has been delivered across us. No one should intimidate any Kenyan to be fearful, not to rise up to speak about the bad governance in this country. Because where we're headed, down to the dogs.
Down to the dogs. That is where we want to wind up the Daily Report tonight. We've been delighted to host Reverend Canon Evans Omola, Provost of All Saints Cathedral. Thank you so much, Canon, for joining us. Sheikh Al-Haj Hassan Olenado, National Chairman, SUPKEM. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Last but not least, Reverend Dr. Alphonse Kanga, Chair, NCCK, Nairobi Region. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And of course, we trust and we hope that we've listened and that we'll be able to put into action what these gentlemen, these religious leaders have been able to tell us and advise, and of course not only to us but also to those elected into office. My name is George Maringa. On Sign Language interpretation has been Catherine Simaloy. We want to wish you a wonderful night, and as always, stay safe and be kind to one another. I'll see you tomorrow.